story for you. I've worked a zillion different jobs. While I was working in the theater in Las Vegas, production shows, lighting, audio, general stagecraft, I worked with a guy who was really funny. And for the sake of this video, we'll call him Robert. That wasn't his name, but we'll call him that in case he is embarrassed. So Robert and I would work together on maintenance in the showroom on the moving lights. We had cyber lights and then telebeams, and then we had a ton of conventionals too. Not to bore you to death, but a lot of different lighting instruments, and they needed maintenance. So we worked on that a lot. And then during the show, he was a lighting operator. And at first, before I got into operating lights, I was a stagehand, doing all the stuff during the show on the stage to help facilitate a smooth show. One day during maintenance in the afternoon, it's downtime, all the lighting trusses were brought down to the ground level so that we could work on them. And the showroom was really big. One day I'm up in the booth, the control booth, which is at one end of the showroom, on the phone with my wife, and I'm looking at nothing in particular, right? Just kind of out into the room. Workers are doing things, set up, this, that, and the other. Out of the corner of my eye, I see this shape just drop down from the ceiling, and it made a horrible thud. I was like, whoa! And it was Robert. He was up in the ceiling, and he fell through. It was one of those drop ceilings, just real light acoustical tile, right? He'd broken through that, and he'd landed on one of the showroom tables, and it just snapped the table in half. Went running over there. He landed on his wrist, and it was pretty mangled, and he was really dazed. He's like, whoa, and he was out of it a little bit. What had happened was, in Vegas, there are union houses and non-union houses, and I worked for always non-union, just for whatever reason, a little less red tape, I suppose. See, if you're a non-union house, casino, they call it house, a non-union casino, you don't have to particularly keep up with certain safety regiments. And so had we said something up front, they probably would have dealt with it, but we never did. And that was, Robert and I were up in the ceiling a lot. From the stage to the control room was all the way across, and there was a catwalk up in the ceiling, right? So you could go from the stage, you go up the ladder, then you could walk across the showroom. So on this catwalk, you could safely make it all the way across, no problem. Well, that was to one side, right? On the other side, there was nothing, but there were a ton of lights and things over there that needed maintenance. So to get to those, we had to bring in a snorkel lift or any kind of man lift and go up from the showroom floor up to the ceiling to work on those, right? However, up in the ceiling, in and amongst everything that was up in the ceiling, there was air conditioning ducts and all kinds of other things like that that weren't meant to walk on. But guess what? We walked on them. Oh, yes, we did. Oh, yes, we did walk on them. Completely illegal, completely unsafe. But I was one of the smaller guys, so I could easily go up the ladder, get up in the ceiling, where we had these pick points for the PA for concerts, which we would put in and take out on the particular concert night. Long story short, a lot of that kind of technical crap we did. But anyway, up in the ceiling on these AC ducts, I could walk on them. They were pretty big and they were pretty solid. Now Robert was a really big guy, and like maybe 250, 225, 6'2", big guy, right? So him walking on those was a different story than me walking on them. But anyway, he'd walk on them too. On the day in question, when I saw him fall through the ceiling, what had happened was he was on a AC duct maintaining one of the IntelliBeams. The only way to reach it, unless, like I said, from below, you want to take the man lift up, which we did all the time. But this particular time, I don't know why, he decided he's just going to work on it from the AC duct, which he did. And when he did, he had to kind of lean out a little to get to it. Really unsafe. Anyway, so as he's leaning out, all around him is only the AC duct, the IntelliBeam, and a drop ceiling, like that acoustical tile suspended from wires. So he lost his balance, right? And he went over, and as he was falling, he tried to grab one of the wires that was holding the drop ceiling in place, and of course it completely gave way, and all of him and part of the drop ceiling just went down into that room. Boom, at the bottom. The tabletop that sat on top of the base broke in half like that, and the base basically had a square plate at the top of metal like this. That's what the table sat on, and he's just lucky he broke the table, and the table stayed intact enough where that metal square wasn't exposed, so he could have got really hurt. He made a full recovery. We always took the snorkel lift up from that point forward while we did maintenance in that part of the showroom. I worked for a production company, so did Robert. It was a subcontracted gig outside of the hotel. The hotel hired the production company that we worked for, and then we were in the hotel. So that was the umbrella. A side street story. One time Robert was hanging around a construction area at the hotel, and they were building this brand new huge tower there, right? But it was still kind of skeletal. It had the floors and everything in, all the way to the top, but it had nothing else was set. You could see through it still. So one day he decided, just for laughs, he would like to climb that. So he climbed the entire thing all the way on the outside, right up to the top, and then came back down. This had happened like maybe a day or two before this accident, and our boss wasn't around till after both had happened. When I got a chance to talk to him, I go, "Oh, the tower. So what'd you think of that?" I go, "Were you mad?" No, I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad at all. I just thought to myself, how weird.